In this video, I'm going to show you how to draw a pile of boxes in two-point perspective. And I'm going to really focus on sighting. Right now, I'm just looking through the viewfinder and figuring out what exactly it is I'm going to draw and how I'm going to frame it on my paper. At this point, I'm really thinking about scale. You know, how big shall I draw my boxes so they fit on the paper, but they don't go over the sides? I think it's best and easiest for me, at least, to start with the bottom box. So I'm starting with the two angles that I see on the bottom box, and I'm lightly sketching them in. Now, I'm doing this entire drawing as a gesture drawing. Notice how I'm holding the pencil further back, and I'm drawing with a light, loose stroke. Right now, what I'm doing is I am selecting my unit of measure. This unit of measure will be the front corner of the bottom box. I will then compare that front corner to everything else in my drawing. Right now, I'm comparing it to the width of the right side of that bottom box. I discover it's a little bit longer. Now I'm going to compare it to the width of the left side of the bottom box. So again, it's the center vertical, and I'm going to use that as my unit of measure. Okay, so now it's just checking that angle on the bottom, transferring it, making sure that that's accurate, transferring that angle, just having a little look, making sure they're right. That one I'm adjusting just a little bit. Okay, I'm ready to start on the second box. Now, once you draw the first box in proportion and in perspective, the rest of the boxes that stack on top, you're going to draw in relationship to the boxes that you just drew. So right now I'm determining where that corner goes, and I'm looking at that angle, and I'm wondering if it is straight. And for the bottom of that Macy's box, I see that it slants up slightly to the right. Now that image I showed you of myself holding the pencil with the two arms straight out is the correct posture that I recommend when you're learning to sight horizontals. So whenever you think an angle looks horizontal, you want to check to make sure that it actually is. And by holding your pencil with two hands straight out, you make sure you're really using that horizontal line and your pencil's not tilting one way or the other. So I put a line on here, and then I realized it was too high. So I'm taking it down just a little bit. And I'm noting where the corners of the second box, the box in the middle, stop in relation to the first box. So now I'm just fixing that edge of the bottom box, just a little bit there. And now I'm just going to start pulling those verticals up, looking at, getting that angle just right. And one thing that you really need to remember, in two-point perspective drawing, your verticals will always be vertical. So that's a really common mistake that beginning drawing students have sometimes. They make their verticals a little bit slanted. Don't do that. Keep your verticals nice and straight. Right now I'm checking that angle. Right now actually I'm putting that vertical on, and I'm figuring out where that's going to end in relationship to the first box. I see it comes in a little bit. Now I'm going to work on the bottom angle. In order to do that, I am going to transfer that angle. So I'm holding my pencil even with the picture plane when I do that. And I rotate. Sometimes I rotate my body, sometimes I just rotate my arm. It's always important to keep your arm totally straight when you sight. So now I'm going back to my unit of measure, and I'm comparing the height of the second box to the height of the first box. So there's the height of my first box, my unit of measure. And then I find that it is like about 1 3/4 the height. So that's what I'm doing. I'm measuring that, and then I can drop my vertical. Just put it on very lightly, pull it down. That's how you draw verticals. Pull it down quick and loose and light. Just pull it right down. It'll be pretty straight. You can always fix it a little bit. afterwards if you need to. Next thing I have to figure out is, about that angle on the top box. I'm just fixing those tiny little slivers that I see on the top of the bottom box. So again, I'm going to compare it to a horizontal. You can see that I'm holding both arms out straight while grabbing my pencil. And I find that the top of the box is above my eye level. So it's going to start slanting the opposite direction. You've got to know where your eye level is. You've got to know where your horizon line is. Look how those edges of the box, the orthogonals, are going to start slanting down instead of slanting up. Very, very important to note that. So my eye level is slightly below the top edge of the second box. All right, now I am working to figure out where I'm going to place the corner of the top box up there, and I dropped a vertical to see where that was, and it looks like it's right about there. So that's where I'm going to put that vertical. I'm figuring out where the outside corner of that box is going to go. It hangs over that second box. Now I am also comparing that to a horizontal line to see what angle that is, and that's angled even more than the other box, so I made that angled a little bit more. And the corner of the second box kind of sticks out on top, so I'm drawing that other line through it. So I'm drawing that orthogonal through it. Now I don't draw my vanishing points on the paper because they're really far off the paper. But it's important to understand two-point perspective so when you see an angle what it's supposed to be doing. So here I'm just placing my verticals for the top box. And then I'm going to check again, make sure that corner is in the right place by dropping a vertical. Just checking out that center area, seeing where that is, in relationship to that top corner. So the top corner is over to the left a little bit. I'm like, yeah, that's okay. I'm going to just go with that. All right, so right now I'm just finishing off the top edges of that box. And I know that those orthogonals should slant more than the ones underneath it because they're going to the vanishing point. My understanding of two-point perspective is really helping me in this drawing. Okay, now I want to draw the little top of the desk, just the piece of paper where the boxes are sitting. I discovered that's a horizontal line. Now I'm going to transfer that angle. Now one thing to keep in mind is because these boxes are on all different angles, each of them is going to a different vanishing point, but they're all on, the eye level is always the same. The eye level is consistent. It's your eye level. We also call that the horizon line. All right, so I discovered that the bottom edge of that desk was slanted up just ever so slightly. And then I'm going to just wrap this up here, putting in a line right there. And at this point, I think I'm pretty much done. And I step back, have a look at the drawing, and then I discovered I wasn't totally satisfied with my proportions. I thought that the bottom box should come in just a little bit. I had rechecked my proportions by comparing them to my unit of measure, and I thought I went a little too wide on the left side of that box, which in turn caused the left side of the middle box to be a little wide. And I also noticed that the top box looked a little too tall, a little too high in proportion to the bottom box. So it's taking a step back, I saw all of those differences in proportion, and then afterwards you see me making my slight adjustments. Now I make my adjustments before I erase. I think that's very, very important. If you see something that's a little bit off, go back, fix it, adjust it, make your refinements, because that's what drawing is. It's a series of refinements, and if you see something's a little off, you fix it. That's the drawing process. All right, so have fun drawing your boxes in two-point perspective. I also do like to have a soft, large watercolor brush handy just to brush off those extra erasures. The only thing I want you to get done for your tutorial is the layout. Please, no details, no modified contour line drawings. Get it to this point, and then we're going to have a good look at it and make sure that it's in proportion and in perspective.